It's all well and good to buy a dual cab as your family car, but the whole point of having a recreational ute is to use what it can do. Can they tow? Can they cop a load? Can they go off-road?
Of course they can, but not every dual cab is created equal, as our arduous testing regime set out to discover. Our recreational ute testing process involved an emergency lane change, a slalom, dry braking from 100 km an hour, and general handling and stability control assessment around Wakefield Park Raceway, as well as a thrash along our bendy, bumpy country road loop. Because these babies are also expected to tow, we hitched an 800 kilo horse float loaded with 1100 kilograms of water ballast to their tow bars and repeated the on-road section. We then took them to the same dedicated off-road facility outside Goulburn in New South Wales as the Pucker four-wheel drives to see whether these dual cabs truly are jacks or jackies of all trades. From its outward appearance, you'd think the Holden Colorado Z71 Xtreme was as hardy as a scullery maid on the Endeavour, but it doesn't really fulfil the promise of its name. While there's merit in featuring a winch and recovery bar, a heavy-duty bash plate, off-road tyres, a roof tray and other extras as standard, the Colorado isn't that crash-hot off-road anyway, and all its knobbly tyres do on-road is further compromise its handling. That said, the Holden's engine is strong, it tows effortlessly, and it rides incredibly well in all situations. But the Colorado's Xtreme's interior does not convey $70,000 worth in any way, and overall, it feels like a mishmash of features that prove that less is definitely more. At LT or LTZ level, the Colorado is a bit of a bargain, whereas the only thing extreme about this version is what it costs. The Mitsubishi Triton GLS Premium, on the other hand, is all about its baseline price. For 51 grand drive away, it smashes the on-paper value barrier relative to its far more expensive dual cab rivals, even though it is slightly smaller than all of them. However, in many ways, you do get what you pay for. On the plus side is the Triton's gutsy and refined 2.4 litre turbo diesel engine, its comfortable seats with perforated leather trim, and its competence off-road, with good ground clearance and plenty of grip. Yet the Mitsubishi fails to elevate itself beyond mediocrity in almost all other areas. It's stodgy to drive, doesn't ride well, its core cabin architecture lacks class, its transmission calibration feels unfinished, and there are gaps between its tray liner and the tray itself, leaving room for sand and water to get in underneath. With all that in mind, is 51 grand really a bargain? Much could be said for Mercedes-Benz's cost-saving decision to share the X-Class's platform and core architecture with the Nissan Navara. Admittedly, the Germans have done a superb job comprehensively improving on what is a very average ute, but there's only so much lippy you can apply to this dual-cab piggy, however effective it may be. When the range-topping X350d Power is good, it's really good. It has the smoothest and equal strongest drivetrain here. It rides with quietness and composure, and it's utterly seamless off-road, despite lacking some ground clearance at times. It puts its power down really well, and despite some body roll, points really well too. It feels very safe, has excellent brakes, and all the Mercedes bits in the cabin are worthwhile additions. Yet there's only so much you can do when trying to build on a flawed design. The X-Class's switchgear is often oddly placed, and despite having a driver's seat that adjusts every which way, it still never feels entirely natural to sit in. And then there's its price. The X350d Power starts at 79 grand, yet still doesn't include stuff that other rivals feature as standard. The top-spec X-Class is a good dual cab, but it's a holistic design away from being a great one. For so many punters, the Toyota HiLux Rogue is their dreamboat dual cab. It takes what a HiLux already does well and adds some classy visual toughness, a few nice cabin details, and a gutsy stereo. Those HiLux hallmarks include a torquey, if loud and vibey, engine, an admirable affinity for towing, and excellent off-road performance, both in terms of traction and clearance, despite some issues with its throttle sensitivity and its ride. Plus, it's impossible to ignore the HiLux Rogue's outstanding resale value, almost 10 percentage points better than the next best Ford Ranger Wildtrak. But the HiLux Rogue drops the ball quite spectacularly in a few areas. Its braking performance is comparatively weak, and the ineptitude of its electronic safety systems during our track exercises was borderline alarming. Toyota's stability control is so obstructive that it's incapable of allowing the HiLux to flow through exercises that rival dual cabs manage while buffing their nails, which doesn't bode well for accident avoidance situations in the real world. However, the Rogue is definitely better than the lower spec SR, just not good enough to rattle its best rivals, only its passengers on bumpy roads. The Ford Ranger Wildtrak may not be as deft as the HiLux in full-on off-road situations, but overall it's a more polished dual cab with a broader, more consistent skill set. In the challenging safety exercises, it felt a bit leaden, but it demonstrated the decent balance of its chassis and the quality of its stability control system. Out on the road, while its ride is still a bit brittle, even when towing a chocker's horse float, there's a solidity to the Ranger Wildtrak that feels confidence-inspiring. Add terrific seat comfort, effortless 5-seat cabin space, an intriguing drivetrain offering easily the best official fuel consumption figure, and a generously featured standard equipment list, and you can see why people aspire to own a Ranger Wildtrak. But you can do better, and one of them is also a Ford. The Volkswagen Amarok TDI 580 Ultimate and Ford Ranger Raptor are not only the best recreational utes you can buy in Australia in this class, they also possess the greatest breadth of talent and can genuinely astound at some of the things they can do. In the Amarok's case, its level of dynamic excellence is stunning, delivering easily the most accomplished performance in the safety exercises at Wakefield Park, as well as car-like reflexes and fantastic poise out on the road. And then it backs all that up with a mostly effortless performance on our off-road circuit too, proving that even 20-inch wheels are no obstacle to a dual cab's all-terrain credentials. The Amarok's cabin manages to neatly fill in all the gaps left by the base model core, turning it into a genuine luxury ute, and its front seats are superb. It may not be quite as silken drivetrain-wise as the V6 X-Class, but it has so much performance, so much towing ability, and so much class that the difference between the Amarok Ultimate and the lesser dual cabs here in refinement and sophistication is huge. However, the Ranger Raptor's serving of talent is even greater than the Amarok's, which makes you realise just how shit hot this flagship Ford is as a halo model for the entire Ranger lineup, even though on paper it mightn't seem like it.
Paying $75,000 for a top-end dual cab is actually more common than you think, which makes the Ranger Raptor amazingly good value for money. And the reason is because this vehicle has more bandwidth than just about any other affordable car in Australia. And that's why it's our best recreational ute for 2019.
In almost every way, the Ranger Raptor is better than a Wildtrak. From the effortlessness of its ride, to the comfort of its bespoke seats, the quality of its interior fit-out, and the polished toughness of its appearance. The Ranger Raptor is one of those cars that you can immediately discount on paper because it doesn't have any more power than the normal Ranger Wildtrak with the bi-turbo, and it just seems like a bit of a pointless exercise. But the beauty is in the tasting, because this thing is really quite phenomenal in what it can do. It is not a towing car, yet it towed better than any other car in its class. It doesn't seem like a hardcore off-roader, yet it absolutely smashed our off-roading section. And even though it has all-terrain tyres, it was still pretty good around the stuff at Wakefield Park. It's hard to think of something that the Ranger Raptor can't do. About the only limits to its abilities are threading through narrow back lanes in Victorian suburbs or trying to sound like a V8. Other than that, this is absolutely the recreational ute to have in 2019.
The 2019 Drive Commercial Car of the Year Awards are proudly presented by BP Plus. With over 1,400 sites across Australia, BP provides a premium fuel network to keep your business moving. With BP Plus, vehicle operators and business owners have a fuss-free solution to conveniently manage their fuel costs, whether it's a single vehicle or a nationwide fleet. With quick and easy ways to pay for fuel, simple to use online tools and comprehensive reports. BP Plus card members can also choose to pay using the BP Me phone app, which allows users to pay at the pump and simply drive away. It also means you don't need to remember your odometer number. Simply input it into the app. It's quick and simple and keeps your business on the road rather than standing in line. With a host of convenient online services and customizable reports, BP Plus also saves time back in the office too. For more information, visit bpplus.com.au and apply for your own BP Plus card today.